here's the big question. How are entrepreneurs like us, who have been hustling and struggling to make it to success, who seem to make it one step forward only to fall two steps back, who are dedicated, determined, and driven? How do we finally break through and win? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brian Kelly, and this is the Mind, Body, Business Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind, Body, Business Show. We have another phenomenal guest lined up, Jason Van Orden. He is waiting in the green room. Oh, yep, I see him. He's in there. He's scratching on his monitor saying, Brian, let me in. I'm ready. Let's go. Yeah, he's coming on very, very soon. I cannot wait to share this man's genius and brilliance with you and his experience, his success. That is the very reason of this show. The Mind, Body, Business Show is a show that I developed literally with you in mind. The success or the business person, the entrepreneur. You could be successful already. The purpose of this show is to take you to that next level of success by bringing on the most successful entrepreneurs from around the world that I can find. And Jason Van Orden is one such gentleman. And I cannot wait to share him with you so that you can simply take notes and then take action and then take your business to the next level. Remember, it's like stacking pebbles. There is no one magic pill that's going to take you to the stratosphere in your business. It's taking one step at a time, but continually taking those steps. And by watching this show on a regular basis, you will have the correct steps to take to achieve that level of success that you want and deserve. And the Mind, Body, Business Show is based on what I call the three pillars of success. And it's the three pillars are the very namesake of this show. Mind stands for mindset. Now, about 10 years ago, I spent about 10 years studying only successful people. I was thinking, my gosh, do they put their pants on two legs at a time instead of one leg like I do? What is it they did differently that perhaps made them more successful than me? And I'm talking about mentors of mine, like personal mentors. I had one that he became my mentor. He was just an absolute genius in the seminar industry. And I ended up becoming his lead trainer. This took years, and I became his lead trainer, speaking from his stage, training his students on his seminars. I did a full half of his seminar each and every time for about 2 years. It was a great experience. I'm talking about authors of books, some that are with us today still, others who were gone before I was even born. These are things I've read and learned from this 10-year period. And these three pillars, mind being mindset. What I found was that to a person, these very successful individuals had developed a very positive, powerful, but the most important, I should say, and the most important aspect was a flexible mindset. Very important when it comes to entrepreneurship and building a business. And body literally stands for the fact that they all, to a person, took very good care of themselves physically and nutritionally. And then business is so multifaceted and so unique and fascinating, because in business, what these individuals had done was they had mastered all of the skill sets that are necessary to build a thriving business and then scale it and grow it even more. And skill sets, what do you mean by that, Brian? Well, there are skill sets like sales, marketing, team building, leadership, systematizing. I mean, I could go on and on. And you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I got to master all of those and more? The good news is you really don't, because mastering any one thing can take just forever, a long time. Like to become an expert, I forget, it's like 10,000 hours of focused effort to be proclaimed an expert. And so mastering something is not that far different. The thing is, if you master just one skill set, you can leverage the rest. And I mentioned that one skill set just a moment ago, and it's the skill set of, do you want to know what it is? I'll just wait to see if anybody responds. I'm kidding. That one skill set is the skill set of leadership. Once you have mastered that skill set, you can now leverage and bring in those who had mastered those other skill sets, say marketing, sales, team building, those kind of skill sets. And you can continue to grow yourself and master other skill sets while you're doing that. So it's a phenomenal approach. Even if you don't have a team right now, learn how to lead yourself and cultivate a culture within your company that you yourself would love to be a part of as a team member of your own business. Pretty cool stuff. All right. And to a person, each individual that I studied also, I found, were very avid readers of books. And with that, what I'd like to do is very quickly segue to a segment that I affectionately call bookmarks.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
There you see it, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. One quick word of advice before we move on, and I promise it'll be quick. And that is, you are going to be learning about various resources as this show progresses, specifically and primarily from Jason Van Orden. And I want you to pay close attention to those resources when they come up, like websites, maybe books, other kind of resources. One thing I am just beg of you is, instead of clicking away and researching it and looking at it off to the side while Jason is talking, rather than do that, instead, please, please, please write it down. Like reachyourpeaklibrary.com, get in the habit, write that down, get a piece of paper if you don't have it, write it on your notepad on your computer, and then visit the resources after the show is over. Why do I say that? Because, like, speaking from stage for years, especially in the beginning times, I remember getting to the really good part. I'm the speaker. I know what I'm talking about. I know where the good parts are. And then at that point, I would notice on occasion, there would be someone get up out of their chair and walk out of the room. That all important text came in. They got distracted, or they had to go to the restroom, whatever the case may be. And I learned to then train them to literally stay in the room. So stop drinking water well in advance of the next segment, and silence your phones and take care of all your business during the breaks, because I would hate for you to miss that one golden nugget that could possibly change your life forever, especially with Jason Van Orden, sending out and giving those nuggets. I don't want you to miss that because you took your focus off, even for a tiny fraction of a moment. Please do yourself a favor and write everything down in note form, and then come back to visit it when the show's over. All right, that's my soapbox moment. I'm now stepping down for Reach Your Peak Library. Real quick, it is a website that I had designed, again, with you in mind. This show and this website are all about you. And why is it here? Because I myself did not become a voracious reader of books until about the age of 47, which is now 12 years ago. I just give it a moment. I know you're all doing the math. You all love that. And I'm proudly wear my age on my sleeve. And so this resource is here for you. What is it? It's a collection of books that, once I finally started reading voraciously, I began saying to my team, hey, add this to the library. This is a compelling and impactful book, either in my business or in my personal life, or both. And so as I read the books, I had them added to the site. So there's no rhyme or reason, but it's here for you, so you can have some assurance that at least one other successful person has vetted the book, and you are less apt to be wasting your time. No guarantee that it won't be a waste of your time. It had a personal impact for me. I can't guarantee it will for you, but it does increase the odds that you'll have a better experience with the books you choose. So reachyourpeaklibrary.com, that is there for you. And speaking of choosing the right books and the right people to work with, especially, it is time to bring on our amazing guest expert, Jason Van Orden. What do you say? You all welcome him with me. Here we go.
It's time for the Guest Expert Spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is the one. It is the only Jason Van Orden. Yes. How are you doing,
Brian?
Jason?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me here. This is great.
Oh my goodness. I say tonight, we're on the East Coast now since I moved, so it's actually 2:39 in another place. That's still evening, I guess, technically, or afternoon. I don't know. I don't care. So oh, I can't wait. I'm in a really good mood, and I really enjoyed talking to you, Jason, before the show went live, started off. I can tell immediately with most people, if they're good working with people, I can tell you are that, and that you are heart-centered, and you're there to serve people and get them results. And it's obvious by the fact of what you're doing, and that your business is still alive and thriving. So before I get in and start digging deep into your big, beautiful brain, would it be all right with you, Jason, if I gave you a formal introduction so everybody know who we're looking at here?
That's great. Let's do it.
All right. Jason uses his Scalable Genius, that's trademarked, method to help coaches and consultants turn their existing content into evergreen group programs so they can serve 20 times the clients and cut their workload in half. Think about that. 20 times the clients with half the workload. Who wants that? I'm raising my hand right now. Then he helps them consistently fill their programs. That's also very difficult to do for some, using the gravity method, which is also trademarked, an approach to attracting and enrolling clients without high pressure tactics or exhausting launches. Oh man, this sounds great. He draws from almost 20 years of experience, including launching over 60 online courses, working with more than 10,000 entrepreneurs, and launching the first ever podcast about internet business. Can you imagine that? There are so many out there now. And it spent 10 years, his podcast, on a top 10 ranked business podcast. I was like, my gosh. So great accolades and well-deserving to have this amazing young man, Jason Van Orden, on the stage here on the Mind Body Business Show. Now we get to get into it, and you can finally listen to Jason instead of Brian yammering. So Jason, I'm going to open it up with one of my favorite go-to questions is I like to start about on the topic of mindset, because it's part of the theme of the show. But more importantly, your mindset. So when you get up in the morning, being an entrepreneur every day is just super simple. It goes, smooth as anybody could ever imagine. Never any speed bumps or anything like that. I'm being totally sarcastic here. Totally. And we're always facing challenges and arduous things. That's almost the definition of an entrepreneur, is to be a problem solver. But for you, when you're waking up in the morning and you know that there are things lying ahead of you that day that you need to tackle, some arduous, what is it that keeps you going every day, day in and day out? What keeps you driven? What keeps you excited about forging ahead yet another day into this sea of problem solving soup, if you will? What is it for you?
Yeah, I'd say it's a couple things. I mean, one thing that drives me every day is just my natural curiosity, and that comes out in a couple of ways. I love that I work with experts in all kinds of industries, and I just love getting to understand their expertise and the people that they're trying to serve and the impact that they can make in the world. And I've just always been really fascinated by ideas. I can remember when my parents, when I was a young kid, they had the whole encyclopedia collection around. I just loved taking that off the shelf and opening up to a random thing. And in a lot of ways, I see that as what I do now, working with these experts. I just get to open up into the whole world of their industry and what they do. And then along with that is just knowing that there are so many people with amazing, important ideas that need to get out there to the people that can benefit most from those ideas. And I believe we all have that to offer. And so it's very fulfilling knowing that my own impact in the world in some small way is also being amplified as I help others to amplify their impact too. And we live in a world with no shortage of problems that we need to solve to make life better for more people. And so if we can elevate more of these, individual specific voices, smart people with amazing ideas and expertise to share, then I think bit by bit, we do create that better world, so to speak.
I knew I liked you from the moment we start talking. I mean, that was it in a nutshell. That's phenomenal. And I love it. You help one person and you know that it's going to exponentially, help more people, because now they have the tools, they have the confidence, they have the know-how and the experience to do what they're doing and scale it and bring in more people and serve more people and do good for the world. So kudos to you for being that beacon that they can come to and then start spreading the word and their brilliance and their genius with their business as well. So, and I promise everyone watching and listening that we're going to dive into Jason's business a bit and find out, I'm going to get into his business. We're going to find out about what he does and who he serves and the results that come from it, maybe a story or two. It's going to be awesome. So you don't want to go anywhere. And we're just diving in. We're going straight in. I love, there's one question I really love, and you've been in business now for quite some time. You've had lots of great experience. You've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs. I so resonate with what you were saying about you get to learn all this and experience all these different, diverse people and what they do in business. I get that on this show, being the host. It's
right.
like amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You're one of them. And I'm like so excited about this. And so you have, I'm sure, gone through many ups and downs in your business. There've been the highest of the highs and, oh my gosh, the lowest of the lows, where you're thinking, why am I still doing this? Should I just hang it up? I mean, we've all been through there, I think. For you,
Right.
I want to go to the positive side. If you can think of one moment in your business life, and it doesn't have to be the one you're in now, but what would be in your mind the absolute most satisfying moment you ever can recall in any of your businesses?
The one absolutely most satisfying. Well, that's really hard to pinpoint, but I will say that one thing that has brought a lot of satisfaction in my life and was one of those key linchpin moments was back in 2005 when I first discovered podcasting. And it was just this new thing that came across my radar, and I searched for it, and Google didn't even know what podcasting was yet. I remember Google tried to correct me when I typed "what is podcasting" into the search. And I had already been a marketing consultant and had entrepreneurial experience. I also had previously been a software engineer, so I had tech background where I also understood the tech. It was a very techie thing. I mean, it is a techie thing, but today we have all these tools that make it easy for us to podcast, right? And then I also had a background as a musician in like recording and editing audio and stuff. So like it just felt like this perfect combination of my interests and skills. Now, at the same time, I was really afraid of like putting my voice out there in a new way, putting time into this new technology that who knew if it was going to go anywhere or not. But thankfully, back at that time, I did go ahead and launch a show with my friend, and it's beyond what we could have ever imagined. Ended up going to so many countries around the world, led to, like you said, a top-ranked business podcast, and hence also a business for many, many years, just teaching beginning entrepreneurs how to forge their own path in life. And so a lot of satisfaction has come out of that one decision that in that moment, I had no idea the weight of the decision I was making to put my effort and focus into podcasting.
And isn't that true of all of our decisions almost? It's like,
Right.
we don't know if it's going to be a great success or a dismal failure.
Right.
But if we get that feeling or that desire, or, we look at it from different angles, how can this benefit me? Is there a reason to put this time into it and effort into it? Why do I want to do this? And if the answers come back, on the upside, then it's like, oh, let's give it a go, see what happens. But that's not how entrepreneurs do it. They don't just say, let's give it a go. It's like they go all in, right?
That's right.
I mean, any other way is a recipe for failure, in my opinion. And that's, I think, one of the reasons so many fail is they're kicking the tires a little bit and treating it more of as a hobby. And I'll just do this whenever it feels right versus, you know what, the stuff that's no fun too. And oftentimes there can be a lot of that, especially when you're first starting out. Have you experienced that in your journey with entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll add to this topic that is coming to mind as we're talking is that entrepreneurship business is a series of experiments. That's how I see it. It's not this straight line plan that we make of like, here's how we're going to go from A to B and grow a business and grow an audience and make sales. It's okay, well, what's the next thing that makes the most sense to try out here to reach more customers, to create greater value, to deliver more efficiently, whatever it is we're trying to optimize or improve in our business. And so, I talk about that moment of starting that podcast, and it was nothing but an experiment, and it ended up being one of the most significant ones I ever did. And equally, there have been ones that I tried out. It's like, that didn't turn out how I hoped, and let's pivot, let's try something else, or maybe there's a couple things I can learn there, or maybe I need to shift some variables and give it another go and take it further. But if we keep that in mind, that it's like, look, you're zigzagging your way through these experiments, then hopefully you can see it as just this evolving process. And evolution is based on things failing, but then the things that really work sticking around and improving. And then in that way, we end up with, better business, a bigger business, better ways of doing things and creating bigger value in the world.
That's such a great way of coining it. Entrepreneurship is a series of experiments. It's like, wow. As soon as you said that, it's like spot on. And then zigzagging. I mean,
zigzagging.
Because, I use a metaphor about, a ship, a sailing ship. If you're sitting in the water and you have a rudder and you can steer it, but there's no wind, are you gonna get any closer to your end result destination? Obviously, right. No. So that means you're not taking action. That's the metaphor part of the site, the comparison. But once you get the wind and you start out, let's say you start out and you're going the wrong direction, but now you're moving. Can you change direction and put it toward the result, more toward the result? Yes.
Right.
Now you change direction, you turn, you might overcorrect and still be going the wrong direction, but you're still going forward and you're still going toward it, just not direct. You can still course correct once again. Like you said, zigzag. That's exactly what I thought when you said zigzagging. And so it's about taking action and experimenting, as you so aptly said. And that is, you got to try things and, do it with some discernment so that you're not setting yourself up for wasting time and or money.
Sure.
But
right.
If you see something that looks like it could be beneficial to the growth of your company, then you know what? That's what we do. We take action. We don't overanalyze it. We just go for it and then put everything we have into it. And then, make the decision. Is this something we stick with, or should we bail on this and move to the next, course correction and go to the next thing that we need to look at? So, and that's the thing right now, though, man, there are too many of those available to us. Like the shiny objects are everywhere. And I'm like, I want to turn every
lots of things to experiment with. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, AI and all of this that's going on now is it's unbelievable how much is there. And it's very easy to get sucked into multiple directions when we should be focused really on just one at a time. How do you do that? How do you navigate all of these wonderful shiny objects and just remain focused on what you need to focus on until it's time to say, I give myself permission to go to another shiny object?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a great question. And so there's a couple things I do is that, so for one, if I am diving into something new, or wanting to experiment or go into a little bit, when ChatGPT came out, this is a good example of that. Is I'll set a specific amount of time for me to go down the rabbit hole, and I give myself permission to go down the rabbit hole, and I'm kind of ping ponging around and like reading this. Suddenly, it takes me to a link over there, and then makes me wonder about this, and then I'm searching for something else. I'm like, oh, let me try something out here, and and then at the end of that, hopefully, I've got a few things I take out of that. I'm like, okay, now let me see how I can apply this to what I'm already doing. But so that's one thing is like I limit the rabbit holes, and it's so easy to use rabbit holes as a defense mechanism to avoid doing what we really need to be doing. So at the same time as I set aside a time for that, I also make sure I'm setting aside time for the things that absolutely have to happen on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis to keep moving the ball forward inside of my business. I got to spend time on business development, right? I got to be doing the outreach and networking, or, writing, marketing, and great content. So I also make sure I get those things on my calendar as well. Now, I also, when I'm going about so I know at the top level strategy of my business. So for instance, right now, lead generation is something I'm working on. I'm like, okay, came back around to, because you can only grow a business really in one of three ways. You can generate more leads, you can convert more of those leads into customers, or you can create greater customer lifetime value. Hence, every customer is worth more to your business, right? So at any given time, I know where I'm focused most in terms of the growth of my business. So that's what's at the top of everything. But in doing that, I might say like, okay, well, what strategy do I want to use right now for moving lead generation ahead? And as I was starting kind of the new, we just hit a new quarter here, last quarter of the year, if you can believe it. And I knew that I was going to be focused on lead generation. I gave myself that permission as I was making a plan to move forward. Like, what would I like to try when it comes to lead generation? So I talked to my coach, I talked to my colleagues, I've got my ear to the ground. And then at some point I go, you know what, and I also check in with myself. What feels fulfilling to me? What would be interesting or fun for me to dive into? And for me, I decided to double down on LinkedIn more and things I was already doing there, but now taking that to a new level. And so I've got an experiment that I started a couple weeks ago, and I'm running that experiment for a good 6 to 8 weeks to see how it goes. Just a new way of identifying and reaching out to you and connecting with the right people and expanding my network and starting the right conversations. And I'll evaluate here in a couple of months and see if that's moving forward at the point, at the degree I want it to. And at that point, I get to decide, okay, this is really not working out, ditch it, or tweak a few variables and keep going, because it's like, opening a safe, you got to crack the code just right, and then suddenly it can unlock and wealth of results can come out of that. So, and that's probably one of the trickiest things, is knowing when to bail or when to pivot or when to double down and just keep going, right? And I think that's just something that with time, I guess you develop a sense as an entrepreneur. But that's why it's also important to have those around us that help us see what we're not seeing, the coaches, the masterminds, the colleagues, who might have more experience than us and can say that, yeah, you might want to be thinking about this, or just make sure such and such or whatever. So I don't know, there's a smattering of ideas when it comes to how I think about what I'm going to focus on and when I'm going to adopt something new or try something new out.
Oh my gosh, that was just gold right there. I mean, I love it all. And then you said something more than once that really caught my ear, and that is the word coach. And that's one thing I've seen, especially entrepreneurs are just starting out. They don't tend to go that route and get a coach and think that it may be it may cost them too much. And then what I always say is, well, would you do me a favor and consider how much it's actually costing you not to hire a coach?
Right.
Because,
the opportunity cost. Yeah. It's like the inverse way. Yeah.
And what I found, the biggest holdback typically, they use money as the crutch. It's really ego. They don't want to give up any control of what they're doing. They don't want to be told that they may not be doing things the right way. I mean, I'm saying they when I raise my hand as being.
I've been bitten by that too. Totally. Like I get into that rugged independence. I don't need anybody's help, and I forget to ask for help. No, I've totally been there, and I have to remind myself not to do that at times.
Yeah, I always say ego is a cancer to success. It just it gets in the way. We all have it to a degree. It's not like we'll ever get rid of it, and that's okay. It's just being aware that, okay, this is my ego talking. I need to smack that sucker out of the way and go back and ask for help. And so how important to you has it been to have that help, that coach, that extra brain and ears and eyes that are outside, away, and detached from your business enough to not be emotional about your business, to help you make decisions that you may never ever thought of? How important would you say that is?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely vital. And I get the idea, like, oh, I want to feel capable. I want to feel like I'm able of making the decisions myself, that I don't necessarily need to rely on others. But it's just the fact of the matter with human existence. I mean, here's one of the most important lessons I have learned along the way is, like, or maybe even especially, the things I do really well for other clients are really hard to do for myself. And that's where ego can bite me, right? Because it's like, oh, why should I go hire a coach to help me with my messaging when I know messaging and I help my clients every day with messaging? For whatever reason, it's hard to apply your strengths to your own needs and to see things, to zoom out and see them with some objectivity. And so it's been vital. It's been critical. And it does feel like a really scary investment, whether it's because of the money, whether it's because of giving up ego, whether it's just being worried about having to try something new and maybe failing at it. But I can see many times where it's like opening up and getting that help from a coach, from a mastermind, from the right colleagues, and knowing who I can turn to at certain times has been the exact thing that finally pointed out maybe what I was missing, or introduced me to the new idea that I needed. The stuff that I'm doing on LinkedIn right now, I wouldn't have arrived at that myself. It was, and talking to a coach who'd been talking to other people that, like, here's something that's working well. And I had all these preconceived notions about, like, no, I don't know if I can, and now it's like, no, here's the way to look at it. Here's the way to and suddenly I was like, oh, okay, this feels good. This makes sense. And off I went. Right. And so without that outside help, I wouldn't have tried that out. And, we'll see how it goes, but that's an example of the kind of thing that having that outside help can really bring, is the new ideas you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah, I think it's a universal issue where, we're really good at what we do, but for some daggone reason, we're not good at doing it for our own business. And then I would be talking to someone else, they'd ask me a question, and it just comes effortlessly. Like, oh, you do X, Y, Z. I think that'll help you. And I'm like, how come I can't do that for myself? It's so funny. And it's universal. I haven't met a person yet who hasn't experienced exactly what you just said. And that is another great reason to get help, whether it be a coach, a mentor, a mastermind, anything that you can do. Get in a group that discusses that and is helpful in that regard. So I want to ask you about your business and start going down that path. And first, we'll start a little bit generic. I call it chunked up. And that is, I have a favorite topic when it comes to business. And that topic is marketing, because marketing is the lifeblood of any business. I always laugh at companies that start scaling back their employee base and they start with marketing, like you just cut off, you're done. I don't know why you do that, but I'm always curious because Jason, what used to work 10, 15, 20 years ago in marketing typically or normally doesn't necessarily work today. Like I used to send out email blasts to thousands of people and you can make sales without nurturing anyone. They just would see it and buy it. That doesn't happen that often anymore, rarely.
Right.
And then
Right.
what's happening today may not necessarily work 10, 15, 20 years out in the future. The thing that matters, though, is today. What works today? And for you personally, if you were to think of the one main go-to marketing method that is working for you right now above all others, is it referral marketing? Is it one-on-one outreach to LinkedIn? What is it? What would you say for your own business right now today is your number one go-to marketing strategy that works and gets you results?
Okay. Yeah. So about 3 years ago, it was shortly after the pandemic hit, with a friend of mine and we started a networking group. We thought, hey, people are going to be looking for ways to connect. We want ways to expand our network and therefore to bump into more potential clients and opportunities. And so we started as an experiment, right? We're just like, hey, well, let's do it for a few months and see how it goes. And 3 months later, it's still going. It's a monthly thing. Every third, it's at a consistent time every third Thursday, so people know when to expect it. So why has this been one of the best things for marketing? Well, it keeps me top of mind with people in my market. They love coming and getting a lot of value at these networking meetings. I get a lot of referrals to these networking meetings, which makes it easy for people in my network to refer others into my orbit, into my network. Because I mean, a lot of times when we think about a referral, it's like, oh, when I run into somebody who expresses, I really need help with X. And you think, I know somebody who does X. Let me refer you over to Jason. He can help you with that. And that's great when that happens. But how many people right now are there who are like ready to just get that referral? Whereas, I have people every week getting referred into my network because I put on these networking meetings with this colleague of mine. And so they're like, hey, Jason and Mike, they put on these great experiences. You got to check it out. You got to go. And I'm, it's building my reach, building my list, keeps me top of mind. It immediately elevates your authority when people come into a Zoom room and they see 40 or 50, 60 other people, and then they have a great experience with those people. Like, it sticks in their brain. Wow, Jason knows how to bring some quality people together. And of course, I find opportunities through that to demonstrate my little nuggets of wisdom and make it clear what I can do for people. And I've got things built into that to identify out of these 60 people in the room, who are the 5 that I should follow up with, because it seems there are indicators that they might be interested in or need what it is that I offer. Now, zooming out from that a bit, though, I'm not saying, you got to go start a networking group. I think another way, because this is what I teach my clients, is I think that creating experiences is really super valuable today. A lot of people are so jaded by the number of experts out there posting tons of content, and they're tired of giving up their email for these thin lead magnets that give them barely enough information to do anything, as opposed to if you've got like a quality discussion group or mini mastermind or networking group or workshops. I also do workshops on a monthly basis, but I'm always trying to create experiences that I can invite people into. They get a taste of what it's like to be in my world, what it might feel like to be my client. They get a taste of my expertise, and it keeps me top of mind with them. And by the nature of what I focus those experiences on, whether the workshop or the discussion group topic for the day, or that the people who say yes to that invitation, I now know out of all the people in my network, oh, here are the ones that is top of mind for them. They thought, you know what, I'm going to give up 2 hours or an hour of my time for that because this is a relevant concern, issue, question that I have, and I'd love to see what Jason has to offer about it. So offering those kinds of experiences, I call them gravity experiences. They bring them into your orbit, and they keep them in your orbit until you identify when they're ready to move forward in your customer journey. And that's what's been working really well for me for the past, we've been doing the networking for 3 years, but especially in the past year, as I've really formalized the process, I've seen it working incredibly well.
Wow. Is there a network open to most business and entrepreneurs, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the the premise of the networking that we do, we call it Generous Entrepreneurs in Media, and it's bringing together podcasters or people with a platform like yourself. So podcasters, live web show, or you live stream on a regular basis, but you've got a platform and you bring experts onto that platform. So we bring together the creators with the platform and the experts who are looking to get onto that platform to connect. And now that leads to lots of interviews and things. It also just leads to lots of great connections in general, whether or not you end up going on somebody's show or not. But that's the premise of the core value proposition of the networking is, hey, we'll connect you with really quality experts to bring onto your platform, your show, or as an expert, we will connect you with others who are looking to put you on their platform. And so that's, and anybody who keeps a certain, Generous Entrepreneurs in Media, we want giving people who show up, they're not there to pitch right outside of the gate. They want to figure out, like, how can I create value here? How can I develop meaningful relationships within my business? And so that's the ethos that we go for. And that's who we invite into the networking group.
So how does one find this networking group? You're killing me, man. I want to know.
You go to generousentrepreneursInmedia.com. GEM is generousentrepreneursInmedia.com.
Right on. And so just by the sheer fact, if anyone is willing to type that many characters to get in, they want.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time I'm putting that in an email or somewhere for somebody. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to type out.
Yeah, I can see it wrapping around.
You can also go to jasonvanorden.com/gem. That'll take you to the same.
All right,
place.
cool.
If that's easier for people, since my name's on the screen, maybe that's easier for people.
I love it. Yeah, well, actually, here's the website. It's jasonvanorden.com. I'm going to spell it for those of you listening right now. It's Jason, Jason, Van Orden. So it's VANORDEN.com/GEM, right?
GEM.
GEM.
GEM. You got it.
And is that a lowercase GEM?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's very important what's after the / Some people, it's a tech thing. We have a lot in common. I'm a former software engineer as well.
Oh, really? Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I never went down the musician trail, but many of my colleagues did. It's a big, it's interesting. Many who have that kind of mind like you and I end up being musicians, except I didn't do it. But it's, it's technical and notes. And I just never got into it. If I did it, I'd be a drummer so I could beat the heck out of something.
Nice. Yeah.
If you're ever looking for a drummer that doesn't know what the heck he's doing, maybe we can get a band going. But so a lot of stuff in common, and this is really cool, and I'm loving this. And so your business, let's segue directly into that. So it sounds like, from your introduction earlier, that you're helping entrepreneurs to take their one-on-one coaching or group, the premier type group coaching, and make it evergreen and scale it and make it less less requiring of their personal time, but getting them greater results. So I would love, if you don't mind, to just hand it over to you so you can explain in a nutshell what you do for your clients. First, who are your clients? Where do they come from? What is your avatar, if you will? And then, then what do you do for them? Pardon?
I started interrupting you. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Oh, no. Yeah. Good.
I'm so excited to jump in and answer your question.
I love it. Yes. That's called passion, ladies and gentlemen. And it's a good thing. I love it. And then, so who it is, what you do. And then if you have I would love if you have a success story or two you'd like to share with us, please do that as well. So, okay, now I'll turn it over to you and I'll stop blabbing.
Okay. Great. So the people I work with are coaches, consultants doing awesome work for their clients. They're delivering great results. They've been doing it at least a couple of years, maybe a few years, sometimes several years, but they've been doing it long enough to know this is my ideal person and these are the outcomes that they want. And this is how I have an approach to getting them those outcomes. The problem that they eventually run into as they grow their business is at some point, they're maxed out on how many hours they can sell, right? There's only so much time and energy that you can sell. And if all you're doing is working with people one-on-one, I mean, that's great. You can make a great impact. But at some point, you start wondering, well, if I can only serve, 10 one-on-one clients at a time, and this is as high as my prices can go right now, you do the math. And if that's not the income that you want to have, or not enough people you want to impact in the world, well, what do you do? And so this is where I come in and I help my clients to do do three things. Number one, to organize their approach and their expertise, to really understand it's like, here's what's unique about their approach. And we put it into a system that's repeatable, a system that's been formalized. When you read my bio, I had like Scalable Genius, Gravity Method, right? These are what I call signature processes. So I help create a signature process for my clients. So now they have a thing that can be implemented consistently and also optimized to be more efficient over time. Then we wrap that into a scalable delivery method, into an offer such as a group program where you're not just working with one person at a time, but now you can have 5, 10, 15, 20, maybe even depending on what kind of program, you can have that 5 to 10 to 20 times as many people that you're serving at a time. And you're serving in a much more efficient way, right? And there's a number of different ways that you can do that we can talk about. But so we wrap it in a premium group program. I'm not talking about just some online course where you're trying to go for passive income supposedly, and people are left on their own to get through it. I'm talking about creating an amazing experience that serves your ideal clients, gets them awesome results. You're able to charge great prices for it and serve more people while you're doing it. And then the third thing we do is we have to take their marketing and their sales from one-to-one to one-to-many. So you need to go from, networking and getting your referrals to have your handful of clients that you can manage one-to-one to now creating an audience of people whose attention you continually keep and build a relationship with them, and find out, through like the experiences I mentioned earlier, but through some kind of marketing and customer experience, continually figure out who in my audience is ready to bring into this program, because you want to be able to fill that program consistently, right? You need to go from just onesie sales here and there to like, you can bring in half a dozen people into a program or more at a time. So we start tweaking their marketing and sales approach to be one-to-many instead of just limited to one-to-one. And when we nail that down, a good signature process wrapped in a program that they can deliver one-to-many, that frees up a lot of their time to be able to focus more on that marketing and sales, to reach more people, bring more people in, impact more people's lives, and of course, make more money while you're at it. So that's the overall premise of what I do for my clients.
I love it. And it's such a common issue because, one-on-one coaching is just flat out not scalable if you continue to do it just one-on-one. And, I've talked to so many people and they're wondering, how do I get out of this quagmire? How do I get into the ability to scale? And they, the thing is they're trying to figure out, okay, well, I need to clone myself. I need to train somebody to do this. I like your approach better because now they don't necessarily have to do that, and they can concentrate on using your systems and methods to do it instead and keep what they're doing. Actually, it sounds like they would expand on what they have and create maybe additional high valued things for people to experience in addition to what their primary product is. Do you do that as well? Do you give them ways to create maybe lower entry type products?
Yeah. So one of the big advantages to creating a signature process like that is now, and we create it in a modular way where it's like you could take one piece of it and break that off, and it could be like a specific digital course that someone can buy as a first taste of working with you to get a result. Or you can decide, okay, I've got my entire signature process here, and either you can work with me one-on-one to go through that process at this price, or you can come into my group at this price and go through that. Or, slice and dice. You might have your hey, I have my 3-day in-person workshop intensive that you can go through as well. So it makes it a lot easier to create and market those offers that meet the different price points and needs. And, people are at different places in that. And so you're able to serve much more efficiently when you create that signature process. And just to give people an example of what I mean by a signature process, I'm sure some people are familiar with StoryBrand is a great signature process, right? And that's one where now their coaches certified in delivering that. And, you might not necessarily want to do that yourself, certify or license your stuff, but StoryBrand is now, it is the thing at the core of the business model, right? It's a great signature method for good marketing messaging. And so instead of it being a person, so here's the client and here's the person that's going to get that client to the result they want. Well, now what we're going to do is it's a process that's going to get the client to where they want to go. And then it's you and your team supporting and delivering that process to take more people through it. So that's what I mean by a signature process. And then, yeah, it's a lot easier to make different offers when you've formalized that signature process. Like we know as entrepreneurs that we need to have good, I mean, think about operations. If we don't eventually systematize, I mean, you said you have all kinds of systems to do this show, right? And I was impressed by, like, I could tell there's like automatic emails I got to make it easy for me to know what to do. And of course, you've got to connect it to broadcast it live. I mean, there's so many things that have to happen for this show to be successful. So you're going to have good systems and delegate some of that stuff. We know that about the admin of our business, but a lot of times expert-based businesses, we don't think about, I need to do that with my expertise as well. I need to formalize my approach. And it doesn't mean that now it's this rigid one-size-fits-all thing, because it can still have that element of some customization for people to guide their path through your system. But in the same way we would create systems for operations to scale our business, you got to do the same thing with your expertise and your approach to delivering results if you want to be able to scale your business beyond just you having to be present in the room in order to deliver value and give people an impact. So that's the message that I'm preaching, and what I help coaches and clients who want to, coaches and consultants who want to go to that next level, what I help them to do to open up more capacity for income and impact.
Wow. Building systems around your own expertise. That's a good one. That's a new one to me. That's awesome. And it's helping me to think, because one of the greatest lessons I learned early on was, build your business as if you were going to sell it, whether you are or not. And that means build it so you can step away completely.
Yeah.
And
right.
It can still operate. And if you can't step away completely, no one will buy it because it requires you. And so What you just said gives everybody that potential to do just that, whether or not they want to, but it's a very good thing to do because it takes your emotion more out of the business day to day, and your business will thrive more. So it's more of a philosophy and approach. But if you do ever get to that point, it's like, I just want to do something else. I'm going to step away. You can actually sell it if you're doing well at that point, versus if you didn't implement what you just stated, which was systematize your genius, your what is it, IP that you
your intellectual property.
Yeah. And so I've never heard that before. That's like genius to me. And wow, I'm curious how you go about that. And that's got me excited. That's why I love what I get to do this show. I learn something every show. That one was one of those mind-blowing moments. Like, wow, it's such a simple concept, yet it's so freaking genius.
And the benefits go beyond just being able to serve more people. Like you mentioned maybe sharing a success story. I had one client that after we did this process, right? So, she's very multidisciplinary. She's in the arts, choreographer, director, also an academic, teaches at university and stuff. So, and she was having a hard time, like really honing in, like, here's my message, what I want to deliver to the world and how I want to present myself. And as soon as we took all of that and said, okay, here's your ideal person, here are the outcomes they want. Now let's organize that into the milestones that you take people through to get. And she's, at the end, she's like, you know what? I have such a clarity now about my body of work and what I want to put out there. I was able to take all these disparate pieces. She's a very intuitive person. She goes in the room and teaches, brilliant, right? She just knows how to pull it out of her tool belt here and there. And and people walk away going, that was transformational. But now she's got it to, it's like, if you write a book, you've taken the time to really think through what you want to say and, your thoughts and approach to a specific thing. And in the same way, a signature, coming up with your signature process does that. And so then your marketing gets easier because now it's easier to see, here's the content I need to create or what I need to help people understand. So they see my process as the best solution for them. It gets easier to convert sales. Like when I'm on a sales call with the right person and I bring up that diagram of my signature process after we've just talked about what they want to get most, and now they see the exact path that I'm presenting to them to get there, they're like, this is cool. I want this, right? It's formalized. It has that, it raises your authority too, your perception of authority in the same way a book can as well. So there's all these other advantages that come from formalizing your approach and expertise as a signature process.
Yeah. And it really would raise the clarity, not just for your client, but for you as your brain. I can so feel this. This is phenomenal. And then the one key ingredient for anyone who's looking to buy is the certainty, right? And like you just said, once they see it, now they can see everything you just said is actually, it's bona fide. It's on paper. It's been thought out. It's true. It's going to happen. And when there's certainty involved, then sales are generated. It's like, this is amazing, man. Where have you been all this time?
That's the response. That's the response we want, right? When we get in front of the right person. Yeah.
Yeah. And my gosh, there are so many people that I've run into over my course of life. I now know who you are. And so there'll be a lot that I can throw your way. I'm going to definitely go look into that GEM network. I love the acronym. That's perfect.
Yeah. Well, we'd love to have you. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'd love to contribute. I'd love to help people, and whatever I can do to help out, I'm more than willing, especially with you at the helm, and look forward to meeting the partner that you started that with. And that's pretty cool. You obviously, guys, you knew what you were doing. You got onto something, you saw it through 3 years in the running. So that's pretty awesome. So kudos and congrats on that as well. Let's see. This is, I don't know where to go next because my mind is reeling in a great way with everything you've just brought up. I do want to remind everybody, I had it on a message that was floating by earlier that those that stay with us to the end, you can qualify to win a 5-night vacation stay at a 5-star luxury resort. Compliments of Reach Your Peak. Happens to be my company, but we get to do this every single week. I love it. I can't wait to see who the next winner is going to be. We'll be revealing how you enter to win here right toward the end, and we're getting there. We're getting close, so don't go anywhere. And this is only for people watching live, so you must be live. I know who you are. And so if you're not watching live, how do you watch live? Well, go to themindbodybusinessshow.com. I like long URLs too there, Jason. Themindbodybusinessshow.com. And then you can scroll up and you'll see buttons appearing that says where and how to watch. Click any one of those, opt in. I think you get a $500 hotel discount card. It's electronically sent to you just for opting in. It costs nothing to you. And all we will do is announce when the next show is going live. And that's once a week. And in that email, there'll be a link. You can click on it and you'll be watching us instantly and engaging. And you'll have the ability to enter to win that 5-night vacation stay. And these are bona fide. You don't want to miss these. These are bona fide vacation stays. It's not where, I don't know if you've been involved in this, Jason, where you take you into the lobby and then they immediately take you downstairs into the basement, put you under a water torture treatment chamber, and try to sell you a timeshare. It's not that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I've been through one of those before, for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've been through a couple. It's like, oh man. And they say, we'll just take 20 minutes of your time, and 4 hours later, your whole, anyway, that it's not that. It's you're treated as if you are a full paying customer. They, in fact, don't even know the difference. So it's phenomenal. You don't want to miss that. And then a little birdie told me by the name of Jason Van Orden. He looks like a big birdie to me. He's not a little guy. And that's a compliment, by the way. And so that you had a little gift to give away too. Do you recall that? And is it still good? It's been a while.
Absolutely. So I've got a workshop that I walk clients through to help them get started with their scalable. It's called the Scalable Genius Workshop, and it helps them start thinking through what is their signature process. And so if all of this is appealing to people and they're like, hey, I'd like, that'd be cool to start formalizing what it is that I'm offering to the world and branding my own signature process. I'd love to offer this workshop for free for people to go and check out. And it's very actionable. Like, it's, there's a workbook that comes with it, and I talk about principles, and then you put pen to paper and figure some stuff out. And then, you can watch what others did on the live workshop, what they came up with, and then we go to the next principle. So you really come out like having done something and moved the ball forward and created your own thing. So that's the Scalable Genius Workshop that I'd love to offer people who are listening.
Well, fantastic. Well, let's do it right now. How would they go to find this?
Well, let's see. Oh, actually, we've got the gravity method. So maybe I forgot it was the gravity method I'd mentioned. We got so much into Scalable Genius. So yeah, gravity method is also, we talked about the experience. So this is perfect too. We talked about how I use experiences for my marketing. that's what the gravity method is all about. I'm happy to share the other one with anybody who wants as well. So the gravity method, jasonvanorden.com/gravity. And that's going to tell you how to design one of these gravity experiences that can, I mean, look, we've all got, in fact, I think I saw somewhere on one of your bio on LinkedIn or something, like a lot of us are sitting on top of, like, there are clients out there. We've got a lot more that we can pull in out of the woodwork than we realize, right? And so this workshop will show you how to create an experience that in the next 14 days will identify people who are already in your network, whether that's on social media and LinkedIn or something, on your email list, or just, people that you've connected with recently, and put that experience out there to elevate your brand, but also to identify who might be some amazing clients for me here in the next 14 days that I can enroll. So yeah, that's jasonvanorden.com/gravity. And since I teased the other one, if SG/SG, if you want the Scalable Genius, you can get both of them. I'll give them both away today. No problem there. Yeah,
I appreciate it. So is that like a coupon code, or are they just how's that work?
No, that's just the secret URL where you can go and enter in your email and stuff, and then it will give you a login. You'll get an email with a login into my course hub, where then you get to log in, and boom, that'll automatically be ready for you to go through. It's the same course hub that my clients go into to access information. So
wow.
I'm giving you pieces of the same stuff my paid clients get when they work with me.
Supremely appreciative of that. That is phenomenal. Thank you so much, Jason. So for all of you listening, and I don't know, maybe there'll be a time limit on this, because this is quite a gift, in my opinion. But go to jasonvanorden.com. So it's Jason and then Van Orden, which is VANORDEN.com/gravity, all lowercase. And now replace the / with SG. Is that right? SG?
SG, Scalable Genius, SG.
Just trying to see if I can read my own writing. I'm testing myself. And then and then you also have another one if you want to join his network. If you are someone who is very generous in your time and giving of your value and your experience, then also go to /GEM, GEM. So jasonvanorden.com / and we have 3 valuable resources right in one place. Write all this down. Don't go there now, like I told you earlier, because we have one more great prize to give away. And then what I'm going to do is ask Jason a very impactful, super secret question.
All right.
And the cool thing with that is I've been doing this for some time now, Jason, this show. And I used to ask this question on occasion, and it hit me every time I got the answer. Like, wow, holy smokes, that has to be shared with more people. So I decided to close every show with the same question. And the cool thing, hopefully you'll think it's the cool thing for you, is that when we're done collecting all of these, I'm going to create what's called a collaborative book with the answer to that question. And the title of the book will be the question itself. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Love it.
It's super amazing, profound, incredible answers and responses. And you're like going, God dang it, he's building it up. And now I'm getting nervous, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. You've got this. And before we do that, though, real quick, I'm going to let people know how they can win that 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort. Again, you must be watching live. So be sure to be here next time if you're not right now. For those of you listening to the recording, it's all good either way. I'm going to put it up on the screen, and then I will verbally tell you how to enter to win. It's a URL, and all you need to do is go to, write this down. Don't do this now. RYP stands for Reach Your Peak. So RYP.im, not .com, /vacation, ryp.im /vacation, all lowercase, and write that down. As soon as the show's over, go there and enter to win. We will monitor that for the rest of the evening and choose that winner. Can't wait to see who it is. It's going to be, you're going to love this. It's many vacation areas from around the world. I mean, all over the place. It's amazing. All right. So, Jason, the question that's coming up. Ooh, baby. So here's the good news. There is no such thing as a wrong answer.
Okay.
It doesn't exist, because I'm asking you a question, you're giving an answer, but it's not a test. There's no test. It's the cool thing is the exact opposite is the truth. Is the only correct answer is your answer, because it is unique to you. If it takes you in a microsecond to come up with the answer, or if it takes you 10, 15, 30 seconds to come up with the answer, that too is perfect because it's your answer. There's no way to fail here. And with all that build up,
Great.
holy
I love
crap,
the
let's get it over with.
preamble. That's
What's
great.
that?
I love it. I said, this is a great preamble. You're definitely okay. This is good. It's relieving the pressure.
Oh no, you're gonna crush it. Every single person has, because again, everything I just said is absolutely true. All right, with all that though, are you ready?
Let's do it.
I love it. Here we go. Jason Van Orden, how do you define success?
Okay. Well, I define success by growth. Each day, I want to feel like I'm increasing my self-awareness, increasing my knowledge, increasing the value. And this is just bit by bit, little increments, the value I'm creating in the world, the quality of the relationships that that I have in my life. Learning how I can be of use to those that are close to me, as well as those that I bump into through other means like online and so forth. So it's growth. And I guess it goes back to that experimentation thing, like being willing to try new things, learn new things, and all these different facets of life, health and relationships and building wealth so you can, give some of that away and also take care of your loved ones. So it's all about just incrementally getting better each day. I will admit that I often can be very hard on myself too. So I have to remind myself about that progress, because there's always a horizon that's moving farther away. So if I don't remember to stop each day and see those incremental wins and incremental progress, it's very easy to get discouraged, at least for me. So I guess it's keeping that at bay, that self-criticism, and just doing my best each day to incrementally improve myself in all those ways that I laid down.
And as advertised, it was absolutely perfect. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for that, Jason. That is phenomenal. You are phenomenal, my friend. You know what? We should be done by now, but I'll give you one last. Well, but before we do that, I want to remind everybody 3 amazing resources that you should all go to immediately following this show. And that is jasonvanorden.com/gem, GEM, also /gravity and /SG. 3 different resources. Please take advantage of this. I cannot implore upon you enough how important and valuable this will be for you going forward. And then, of course, enter the vacation at ryp.im/vacation. But Jason, if you would like to take us home, what would you say to a budding entrepreneur if you were to give them one piece of advice? And you can only give one, but if you're going to give them one piece of advice that you think would be the most beneficial to them, that's maybe just starting out or struggling, what one piece of advice would you give them with all the experience you've had in your entrepreneurial journey itself?
Yeah, there's so many that come to mind, but one, I guess, that we haven't touched on in some way already is don't rest on your laurels. It's very easy to get some degree of success and feel like, oh, this is great. I've worked really hard and I got to this place, and then just be like, I'm just going to enjoy it. And sometimes, yeah, we need that downtime to rest and recuperate or whatever. But if you just kind of skate through and aren't actively like growing and trying to improve, when it comes to markets and business, there are others that are going to be coming up right behind you that are, they're nipping at your heels and willing to put in the hard work as well. This is by no means hustle culture. Like you got to hustle. I'm just saying, don't rest on your laurels. Like don't expect things just to stay the way they are right now. So constantly be looking for that next way that you want to improve, experiment, try something new, take it to another level, and just be willing to continue to do that. And you'll do all right.
Falls right in line with your definition of success, which is growth. I mean, right down the alley. Steve Recker. Awesome. Jason Van Orden, you are amazing, man. I appreciate you. On behalf of this amazing gentleman, Jason Van Orden, I am your host, Brian Kelly of the Mind Body Business Show. Until next time, please, everyone, do just 2 things. Number 1, go out and crush it and serve more people in your business because they need you. Number 2, above all else, please, everyone, be blessed. That is it for us tonight. We can't wait to see you again next time here on the Mind Body Business Show. Until then, good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Body Business Show podcast at www.themindbodybusinessshow.com. My name is Brian Kelly.